It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today we're going to take a look at the Cleveland Browns and preview their upcoming season. But before we get started, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Browns season as we go into our 4-minute offense. I believe one of the biggest stories that many will follow this year is whether or not quarterback Baker Mayfield has made the necessary improvements within his game over last season. The former #1 overall pick and Heisman Trophy winner was solid as a rookie and took a major step backwards last season in what was supposed to be a year where the Browns as a whole were to break through. Now, granted, some of those issues that contributed to that record were team related, but one can't argue the role that Mayfield's play also played a huge part into that. The major issue, as it was during his rookie season, was the turnovers. Mayfield tossed 14 interceptions as a rookie and another 21 last season. He also fumbled 6 times as well. A lot of his issues can be attributed to his pocket presence or lack thereof, which is why the Browns attacked this offseason, wanting to get significantly better up front along the offensive line. The thought is that giving Mayfield more room to navigate within the pocket and what should be a quarterback-friendly play-action pass offensive attack, he should get back to the 27 or more touchdown passes that we did see from him as a rookie. To help Mayfield get back on track will be new head coach Kevin Stefanski, who comes over from the Minnesota Vikings. Now, he was a longtime Vikings assistant and quarterback coach as well as coordinator, and last season Minnesota was 8th in scoring offense, with Stefanski getting the most efficient year out of quarterback Kirk Cousins. He has a bevy of offensive weapons at his disposal with the Browns and hopes to get the most out of this group this upcoming season. What he is also hoping is that he can be the guy that the Browns have been looking for in quite some time, as it's just been a revolving door of coaches as of late. Stefanski has built a strong staff, most notably Bill Callahan, who is one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, all of which should help provide the Browns with some stability and a solid foundation to build a program on. Justifiably so, the hype last season for Cleveland had reached epic levels. Some saw the Browns in the Super Bowl, others, like myself, saw them at least as a wild card participant in the playoffs. Obviously, none of it came to fruition, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen this season. The Browns, on paper, have a ton of talent across the roster, and we'll be looking to transfer what we see and know on paper to the actual football field. There were glimpses of greatness at times last year, from their blowout victory in Baltimore to beating Buffalo and Pittsburgh in back-to-back weeks. They showed what this team was capable of, so all eyes will be on the Browns this upcoming season to see if they can apply what they learned on the field last year into the 2020 season. Defensively in 2019, the Browns were 30th in the NFL versus the run and attacked both free agency and the draft to rectify this issue, in addition to getting Myles Garrett back from suspension, which, if we're being honest, contributed to a lot of what we saw down the stretch. The Browns added former Falcons defensive end Adrian Claiborne, former Packers linebacker B.J. Goodson, and Bengals defensive end Andrew Billings. The hope is that improving both the depth and adding potentially a starter in Goodson, the Browns can get teams off the field quicker and put their potentially explosive offense back on it. We spoke earlier about Baker Mayfield and what he has to do this season in order to get himself, and the Browns for that matter, back on track. Now, the good news is that he's in an offense that should allow him to be able to be a bit more efficient, which should lead to a more effective Baker Mayfield. They've rebuilt the offensive line. He still has the same assortment of riches in the backfield and out on the perimeter, so I would expect Mayfield to have a much better year in 2020. Now, Cleveland also brought in veteran Case Keenum, who's familiar with Kevin Stefanski and gives them a strong option at QB2. He'll serve in a role similar to what Mayfield had with Drew Stanton a few years ago. You can make a legitimate case for the Browns having the best tandem of backs in the NFL, let alone the division. Nick Chubb has been exactly what the Browns needed for him to be in the backfield, a dependable and reliable player who has the ability to hit the home run, and one who is also very consistent. It's been a series of almost so far for Chubb. He was almost a 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie, falling just 4 yards short, and last season he was almost the NFL's leading rusher, falling just 46 yards short to Derrick Henry, and that battle came down to the last game of the season. Tired of being close, I would expect the third-year back out of Georgia to strive and put that number so far out in front that it will be difficult for the second-place player to catch him. They also have Kareem Hunt as well, and Hunt, who led the league in rushing as a rookie back in 2017, served his 8-game suspension last year and immediately made his presence felt once he got back on the field. He proved to be an excellent option in the passing game, while also still showing the wiggle that made him one of the league's most promising backs. That dynamic duo should give the Browns this generation's version of Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner when both backs ran for 1,000 yards back in 1985. That goal looks a little bit more realistic when you factor in free agent signee Andy Janovich at fullback, who comes over from the Denver Broncos, and he is one of the best in the game at his position. Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry are two of the better receivers in football. Both went over 1,000 yards last season and are the unquestioned co-number ones in his receiving core. New head coach Kevin Stefanski envisions these two being what he had in Minnesota with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, albeit a souped-up version. The expectation is for them to reach the end zone a little bit more this season, as Landry and Beckham finished with 6 and 4 touchdowns respectively. Wideout Rashard Higgins figures to be the third option within this group, having solid rapport with Mayfield that dates back to Mayfield's rookie season. He'll be pushed by rookie Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan, who is a big inside slot receiver type that has solid run after catch ability. I'm also intrigued by Taywan Taylor as well, who came over mid-season via trade with the Tennessee Titans. The tight end position figures to be featured more so under Stefanski. It would also get a much-needed boost from Austin Hooper, who comes over from the Atlanta Falcons. The two-time Pro Bowler is coming off of his best season as a pro, hauling in 75 passes for 787 yards and 6 touchdowns, all career highs. He is expected to give Cleveland another catch-and-run type tight end. As of today, David Njoku is still on the roster, and the team says he is still a big part of their future plans. The hope is that he could, 1, stay healthy, and 2, find some consistency within this game to help him reach his immense potential. If they do make a move, trade him or not, rookie Harrison Bryant out of Florida Atlantic is expected to slide into a more prominent role alongside Hooper. He brings to the table a lot of the same elements as Hooper and is also a willing blocker as well. Now, we know Stefanski loves multiple tight end sets, and 2 of their big moves this offseason was to acquire some tight ends. So I would also keep an eye out for Stephen Carlson, the second-year player out of Princeton, to work his way more into the rotation this season. Cleveland put a lot of work this offseason in getting better along the offensive line. First-round pick Jedrick Wills, who played right tackle at Alabama, although it was technically the blind side for the left-handed quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, he's expected to start at left tackle. In free agency, they signed Jack Conklin from the Tennessee Titans to be their starting right tackle, where he stood out last year for the Tennessee. Hopefully, that solidifies their tackle position, but when you look at the depth, you like Chris Hubbard, who can play both tackle spots. You also have to like undrafted rookie free agent Alex Taylor out of South Carolina State. The 6'9", 300-pound Taylor has a lot of athletic skills, but is still a bit raw from a technical standpoint, and he'll get that chance to grow in Cleveland. Losing guard Kevin Zeitler last year was a bigger blow to their interior than anticipated, but they were still able to get very good play from guard Joe Bitonio and J.C. Tretter at center. Wyatt Teller started 9 games last year and figures to be the full-time guy there this upcoming season, which just helps strengthen that continuity on the inside. That's going to be huge in this whole COVID-19 era. I like the depth they built with rookie Nick Harris, the center out of Washington, who I had a pretty high grade on, and guards Drew Forbes out of Southeast Missouri State, and Kobe Gossett, who came over last year from the Minnesota Vikings. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, and Myles Garrett, coming off of a suspension as well as a season where he was starting to blossom into a legit game breaker, bodes well for a defensive line that's looking to sack the quarterback much more this season. He has posted back-to-back double-digit sack years as well as double-digit TFL seasons as well. Olivier Vernon is a solid player but hasn't been able to play a full 16-game season since 2016. When he's out there on the field, he plays a run very well, equally as he does rushing the quarterback. Cleveland needs another option to emerge on the edge. They wanted to be third-year player Chad Thomas, who they drafted in the 2018 draft, but he hasn't been able to consistently crack that rotation. That's why they went out and grabbed Adrian Claiborne in free agency. Now, while he may not be the caliber that Garrett is as a pass rusher, he's cut from the same cloth as Vernon and should be a significant contributor as well. Defensive tackles Larry Ogunjobi and Sheldon Richardson are solid in the middle for the Browns. Now, they wanted to bolster the depth with Andrew Billings, who comes over from the rival Cincinnati Bengals, and Billings and draft pick Jordan Elliott out of Missouri, who flashed some quickness off the ball, figures to be involved heavily in the rotation, and the club also likes the development of Daniel Qualley, who played well when given the opportunity last season. I believe the linebacking core has promise, as I like some of the pieces that they've assembled here for Cleveland. Last year, rookies Mack Wilson and Sion Takitaki are expected to play significant roles this year, with Takitaki hoping to be a starter. Wilson started 14 games and looked like a steal, where they selected him in the 5th round as he finished second on the team in total tackles with 81. Bringing in B.J. Goodson was a solid move in my opinion, having covered the Giants while he was here in New York. I always thought he was a solid backer, he just couldn't stay healthy. He found his health in Green Bay and was very productive. He should hold down that inside linebacker spot. Keep an eye out for Tay Davis, who is another former New York Giant who has very good man coverage skills and hopes to increase his role on the team this season. Now, rookie Jacob Phillips out of LSU reminds me a lot, honestly, of Mack Wilson and how he takes very good angles to the ball and doesn't miss many tackles. He also has an ability to pressure the quarterback, which should make him one of the better blitzers on this unit. So while they have some pieces here, it'll be all about putting it together as a core. They will have to, because 30th against the run can't happen again in 2020. The Browns have built up a solid secondary heading into the 2020 season. Denzel Ward is already one of the best at his position, and second-year player Greedy Williams out of LSU figures to make bigger strides in year 2. He's always in good position, but just has to start to find the football a little bit better. The real battle will be inside, as free agent signee Kevin Johnson comes over from Buffalo, and Terrence Mitchell will battle for that spot. Mitchell's a solid player who can play outside as well as on the inside. So can Johnson, and he stayed fairly healthy in Buffalo last season and brings first-round pedigree to the table. His health has always been the major bugaboo in his career. I like the game of Donovan Olumba, who comes over from the Cowboys, and I'm interested to see how he factors into the mix, as well as undrafted free agent corner AJ Green from Oklahoma State. I'm surprised he went undrafted, as he has solid coverage skills, showing the ability to play the ball well. Now, signing Carl Joseph and drafting Grant Delpit completely revamps the safety position, in my opinion, for Cleveland. It was a sore spot the last couple of years, and with Joseph coming off of a solid season and Delpit coming in with the proverbial chip on his shoulder because he fell in the draft, Cleveland figures to get the best version of both of these guys, which can only be a good thing. Sheldrick Redwine, JT Hassel, and free agent signee Andrew Sendejo provide excellent depth on the back end. Look for the Browns to be a bit more versatile and creative at safety or in the secondary as a whole because of the boost in personnel. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with feature artist IW and his latest release, Mr. Hunter. That's doyoumusic.com. You can also find it available on iTunes as well as Spotify. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. The Academy of Broadcast Media in Hackensack, New Jersey. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit, financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. I have a couple of camp surprises to watch out for, mainly rookies in running back Benny LeMay out of Charlotte, whose patience, elusiveness, and ability to catch football could help him push for that RB3 job. Kevin Davidson, the quarterback from Princeton, who was excellent down at the East-West Shrine Bowl and has a ton of upside in this game, as he was just a one-year starter in college. And defensively, A.J. Green, again, surprised he went undrafted, and by the time it's all said and done with training camp, many will feel the same. Offensive rookie impact player was an easy one to pick. That's Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, who played the blindside protector in college. He should do well in that role in Cleveland. And Grant Delpit, I thought his criticism of his game was a little bit overblown throughout the draft process. Cleveland is getting themselves a very good safety that has good matchup skills and ball skills. The biggest X factor offensively is quarterback Baker Mayfield. If he can revert back to playing like he did as a rookie when he was playing free, confident, throwing the football deep down the field, if he can revert back to that form, then the Browns offense will be just fine. Defensively, you look at Olivier Vernon. It's never about talent. It's never about want to or football IQ or awareness. It's all about health. If he can be out there for the full 16-game season, he is a guy that you can depend on to show up game in, game out. But him being out there is going to be the biggest X factor for the Browns defensively, in my opinion, this upcoming season. Look for Drew Forbes to have a breakout season. Now, while he may not be a starter, I think the play that he will show during the preseason will show growth within this game, more so to where we're going to see him earn more minutes up front along that offensive line and be counted on to be a good depth swing piece on the interior. So I do think he's primed for a breakout season, as is linebacker Mack Wilson. What we saw last year was excellent, 81 total tackles, and without Joe Schobert, I think you're going to see Wilson raise his game to another level and get to that 120, 130 type tackle number, which would be excellent for this linebacking core. The biggest reason why you can always be optimistic about this Browns football team is they have star power at key positions. We talked about Beckham and also Jarvis Landry. You look in the backfield, Chubb as well as Kareem Hunt. Tight end is deep now with Austin Hooper. Still have David Njoku, rookie Bryant. You look on the defense side of football, Myles Garrett. I like Mack Wilson. I love Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, Delpit and Joseph. There's a ton of star power at key positions. That's why you can be optimistic about the Browns. You also can be optimistic because quietly they had a very good offseason, and it was a quiet offseason. Last year, you couldn't say that about the quiet part, as we all talked about the Browns leading into the season. But this year, with new general manager Andrew Berry at the helm, he's built a good roster. Both had a good draft as well as brought in some good undrafted free agents as well as signed some free agents. So it was a good offseason and it was a quiet offseason. That's why you can be optimistic about the Cleveland Browns. I think one of the causes for concern is an obvious one. That's if Baker Mayfield struggles again. If he can't revert back to his rookie form and we see what we saw from him last year, it could derail the potential of what could be a breakout offensive season for the Browns. And defensively, if those young linebackers don't step up and take that next step, you're talking about Mack Wilson, Sione Takitaki, the rookie Jacob Phillips, and BJ Goodson. If those guys don't take or elevate this unit as a whole and they still struggle to stop the run, it could be an issue. The road to the Super Bowl for the Browns goes as follows. Their run defense has to get significantly better. We talked about it all throughout the video. 30th in the run defense department. Won't cut it this season. They got to get better. They got to get into the top 15 at least to have a chance. And Mayfield becomes efficient. He doesn't have to be dynamic, put up Pat Mahomes numbers, although he could within his offense. But if he can be efficient, they can make plays. Speaking of making plays, those playmakers that we talked about, your Chubbs, your Landry, your Beckham, all those guys on defense that we mentioned, they have to make plays. If they're playmakers, make plays, be dynamic, the Browns can break through the playoffs and find themselves in the Super Bowl. I have the Browns finishing third in the AFC North. This is still going to be a very good team, one that's going to be tough week in, week out. They have the offense, I think, to average 30 points a game, and we may see them flirt with that. I still worry about the defense, especially within the front seven. Do they have a guy that can depend on opposite of Myles Garrett? Can those linebackers take the next step? Those are the questions that can keep the Browns from being third or second in this division, but they will be in the mix for that last playoff spot in the AFC. So that's it for this edition of NFL All 32 show. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. That's where you can find our NFL All 32 podcast. And keep it locked here on the Football Game Plan YouTube channel, where we're going to have a ton more of Browns video content coming down the pike, from our All 22 show, our fantasy football starting lineup, and our best bets.
It's D-U-E-U till I see you. By this point you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Man, we about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.